Hey everybody, what's going on? We're here with a timeless reading. Welcome. All right, first card that we have out is Three of Swords. It looks like you're finally able to see something, but it could be a moment that feels like a harsh truth. To have Three of Swords is usually connected with experiencing some type of pain. It can be like suffering of some sort. It can be you noticing even like what needs to be healed at this point. This Three of Swords in this deck, because it's transparent here, it feels like you're seeing something. So this can be like, I'm recognizing like why I really felt hurt within this situation, or like I'm seeing actually what I want to work on, or what I feel like I need to heal, or I'm finally understanding something that I wasn't aware of before. It can be like that. So it seems like it's no longer guessing, like you're actually, there may be something that you've realized now. It can be a lot that you're realizing. Because this can also be stuff that's been like associated with fear for you, like why I don't feel safe opening up, or why I have a hard time being vulnerable, or why it's a challenge for me to be present at times. It can be like all of these types of things that you're looking into. But at this point, I feel like you've really put your finger on it, and that may have been something that you were trying to do before, that now you feel like I can finally see it, I can finally understand it. So that means like now that it's recognized, something here can be addressed, but you can be having a hard time sort of like in this moment where you're actually seeing what is like wrong, or what's happening that you want to like adjust or fix, like that you perceive needs to be worked on at this point. This could have been something that you had been keeping quiet about, or something that made you quiet, or something that brought about anxiety, or something that had you feeling like you didn't want to be seen. I see this Eight of Swords in this deck as being associated with the throat chakra, so it can feel like I don't use my voice because of that. Like, because when I was in grade 5, I had something happen and it made me feel really insecure about my voice and about my creativity and about what I had to say. You know, it can just be things like that. Yeah, I'm getting the number 5 again, so maybe even at age 5, something that happened 5 years ago, things like that. 5 is also connected with change too, so that can be where this is coming from. But yeah, I see this as being like, I'm linking that to that now. So I'm seeing where this happened and I felt like a wounding happened at that point, and now I'm seeing what was going on and then how that's impacting me now. And it feels like in a way that has you feeling like you can't do certain things that you want to do, that has you like holding back, or has you not using your throat chakra, like not exercising it. Some of you too, you may, when the throat chakra is involved, you can experience things like breathing problems, anxiety, congestion, stuff with your throat going on, stuff with like your nasal passageways, stuff with your eyes too can be a part of that. The throat chakra is kind of like a triangle, ears as well. Headaches. Speaking of the throat chakra, we have the Queen of Swords here. All of these are swords energy so far. We have Three of Swords, Eight of Swords, Queen of Swords. This can also have to do with your discernment as well. I think at this point you're unbinding yourself from something, like pulling yourself out of something that before you may have felt you were stuck in. For some of you too, this can be like based off of this thing that you're recognizing, like that is the root. You may see that like there are people-pleasing tendencies that have come from this, or like not confronting when you feel like you want to say something but then not saying something. that type of thing. Because it feels like how this has impacted you is a way of like holding back, actually. So it's kind of like maybe you feel like you've allowed certain things to happen that you don't want to happen. But I feel like you're sort of coming out of this now at this point. But before it could have been something that you didn't confront or didn't address. So you may have like not been vocal or not been clear about boundaries and stuff like that, especially having Queen of Swords here. Because when you have Queen of Swords, that is that part of you that you're not struggling with your throat chakra, you communicate. So especially in response to things that are going on. So it's like if you don't like something or you're not okay with that, you're very direct about it. Like, I don't like that. I'm not okay with that. I don't want to do this again. It can be like those sorts of things where there's just a sense of self-expression as a reply sort of to things that are going on. It's a responding energy. But this could have been based off of this thing, like getting to the basis of this, it could have been something that kept you from doing those things specifically. It feels, again, specifically connected with you expressing yourself, you using your voice, you communicating. And it's not just in general in situations that you have no reason to do it. It's like you specifically see this showing up when if you wanted to, if you were doing what you really wanted to do, you would be using your voice in these circumstances. So this may be something that you walk away from and you're like, oh, like I feel disrespected, or I feel like that crossed the line, or like this happened or that happened, but didn't say anything within this situation, and like also don't really plan to either, or have a really difficult time confronting it. It's like getting back to the basis of like why that's occurring and where sort of it's not making its way out through up and into a form of expression, clear expression, where you're not just like, I hope they can read my mind and know that I don't like this. This is you being like, hey, I'm not okay with this, or like arm's length, you know, whatever it is for you. Or even like communicating needs and stuff like that too, or preferences, that type of thing, with the people that you have interpersonal relationships with. Ongoing. I'm seeing Leo on the bottom of the deck. Leo is about being seen. It's about expressing yourself in a genuine way. It seems like you're taking something on now. Like some of you may be stepping into a role where you actually have to do this, and it may be helping you with your healing, but at the beginning of this, you can feel very nervous about it. So it can be like a type of exercise that you're finding yourself in within a life situation where now you're going to be like using your voice in a way when maybe previously this was something that you shied away from, or just, I don't know, it feels like something is now encouraging you to step into a role where like it may be necessary for you to actually do this. So it's like grounds for working through this. Because I'm seeing you stepping into something where there's like accountability. I'm also hearing measurement. You're doing something here where I'm seeing you be in an important role. So there can be certain responsibilities that you have where your throat chakra is involved in this. It looks like something very important that you're stepping into here, like something that would really matter to you, and it may be easier for you in this position to like find a reason to be working with this. It's like standing up on your own, standing up on your own. I'm seeing stuff at this point that you're like connecting and building within your life. And where the basis of this came from, like this wound, it could have come from feeling like you were inferior or subservient or under the rule of somebody that you may have perceived having like power or authority, but now I'm seeing you within your life are getting to a point where there's a sense of authority that you have and a sense of power that you have in the position that you're stepping into. So it's sort of like allowing you to rewrite the narrative for yourself, because rather than seeing yourself in that old role that was connected with whenever that was that took place for you, like whatever the genesis of that was, now you're in a position of strength is what I'm seeing. And it seems like you need to like perform in that arena. When I say perform, I just mean like showing up, and you have stuff to do here. And that may be something that's motivating you now to work on this thing. So it's like really actually helping you personally, even if this may be something in like another area of your life. Like it can be your public life or your career, or just like you could be parenting for the first time. There can be like a lot of things that are going on here for you, and a lot of different situations and examples this can play out in. But whatever it is, it's something where you feel at this point just feels like it's helping you come into your own, because you have something that you're doing that feels important. And there can be like a reliance on you where you're looking around and being like, oh, like if nobody else does this isn't going to get done, so I have to do it. It's like that type of thing. You're very fit for this, although because of what you've gone through in the past, you may question it, but it's something that you're learning to work with, because you're not going to stay feeling like this. It's just for right now, because it's bringing stuff up for you, and it means that there are things that you're facing. But I'm seeing something where it's like really time for you to be doing this, for you to be stepping up in this way and fulfilling this. Just give it time. Do not rush yourself through this or be like, I should be okay with this already, or I should be comfortable with this, or I shouldn't be feeling this about my experience. Do not do that to yourself. Allow yourself the grace to move through this as you are, and be as accepting and loving as possible, as if you're watching like a child go through this process. It's being able to meet yourself in that way as you're moving through this, without the judgment and without the criticism and without the lack of acceptance for where you are at any given moment. It's going to allow this to run much more smoothly. So there's no, I should be here already, or I shouldn't be feeling like that, or like, why didn't I do this? It's just being in acceptance and like rolling in that energy. Just gliding with it. Because you're going from some type of like really challenging situation into something where I'm seeing there be like a great sense of empowerment. And it feels again like responsibility, like there's a role of responsibility that you're stepping into that feels like it's almost the opposite of sort of where you've come from. Especially when this past situation happened, and now I'm seeing you getting to the point, because you're fulfilling this role, and I'm seeing again you have like power. You have power within this position. Like this is a hefty type of role that you're playing. Because of that, and because of like the organizing principle of this as well, I'm seeing that now you're getting to a point where you feel like you're actually able to move forward. But that may have been something that you didn't even feel was possible at a certain point in time. It feels also too like this is liberating you from like a fixation on power or lack thereof. And so it's allowing you to sort of like rectify this and meet it in the middle. So you can be in that middle space rather than on like one side or the other. And then feeling like you oscillate, or that's really how you're like framing everything. As a frame of reference, this feels like finding yourself more in like the flow of every moment. Because there's not that like insecurity anymore. Okay. I'm seeing you move in the direction. So having Six of Swords and having the Star, this means that whatever that was that had happened, there's like actually moving forward from that now. To have the Star, this is you stepping into something that's very, very important to your journey. But it can be something that because you're in the process of healing right now, it may be something that you question at times, or it may be something where it's like in your heart, you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and that you're going in the right direction, but there can be anxiety sometimes where you question that, or you're like, maybe I'm not going to be good at this, or maybe it's supposed to be someone else, or just holding yourself back in whatever way. It's kind of like these moments where you almost forget that you're in the present and you're having these like flashbacks to whatever this was that had you be like quiet in the first place. But now you're in these situations where you're sort of reworking that. And learning how to operate. I'm seeing Aries and I'm seeing Aquarius here. There's also a sense of discernment that you're now able to tap into. So in moving forward, see how there's like a transition here? And it even seems like you're going somewhere, like you're in the midst of a transition. So you finally have like completed what needed to be completed here, which feels like a recognition of like that did happen and that did have an impact, and I'm seeing how that's affecting me and like where that was coming from. That recognition I'm seeing be a moment that was very, very important. Now there's this sense of, because I sort of accomplished what needed to be accomplished at that level and saw it from all the angles I needed to see it from, now I can go to the next level of things. And where you're going, to have the star here, this is like something that's rising, like something that you're rising to. This card reminds me, even though this is connected with Aquarius, this card also reminds me of like a North Star or Rahu, like your North Node. That's what I see this as being connected to, or even your MC. It's like you start off in one place, which was connected with what had gone on, and now you're growing up into something else. And when we're talking about too, like your North Node or things that are like that, it's about like why you're here and what you came here to develop too. And rising to the occasion in that way. So I'm seeing you like slowly climbing up here towards something. And to have judgment, and in this card, it's sort of like this stuff is falling away. So there's essentially like an ascension that's happening. I'm getting stuff again about transition. So you may feel like you're moving from one spot to another. Both of these cards are connected with, all of these cards actually here are connected with movement. So this is like actually going up. This is going up. This is going up. So it seems like something is now rising, and you can feel too like vibrationally you're rising, which can mean that you're able to like see things more clearly than you were seeing before. You can feel like you're more zoomed out. You can also feel like you're able to tap into things to see like angles that you weren't able to perceive before. Like now that I'm up here, I can look down and see it in a different way than I would if I were eye level with this. So I'm seeing those types of things happening, where you can feel like you're having these moments of vast wisdom, where before it was like, I just can't really seem to see outside of this. And now I'm seeing this process is continuing to happen, where it's like zooming further and further and further out. And that doesn't mean you can no longer see close up. It means that you have much more of a spectrum now. So it's like, if I want to be zoomed in, I can, but I'm not only limited to that any longer. So that's what I'm seeing is going on here. It can feel too like something is falling away that had been clouding your vision before. And I'm seeing that's allowing you to step into this role that you're stepping into. So it feels like with more, let's just say like power or energy, with more like power or energy that you're gaining with the Emperor, whatever this role is that you're stepping into, I'm seeing there also be more clarity as well. So it's like the clearer you are, the more power you're being given as well, because you can wield it. Because before, if you weren't seeing things clearly, this type of power, again, for lack of a better word, would be something that may have actually done damage. But now that you're getting to a place where you're seeing things more and more clearly, like you're understanding things, I'm seeing your power also increase with that. And it's like those two things need to go together. So it's like as one increases, the other one like follows that trend. So they're like trending together. So in you finding the power in your voice, it's allowing you to step into what you may feel like you're ultimately meant to be doing for some of you, or one of the things that you're ultimately meant to be doing. But until this was something that was addressed and recognized, you could have felt like I can't get to the next level. And so there was almost like not having access to this yet. And you could have felt like it was very basic where you were before, and now that you're moving up, you feel like you can start building with it. Like building with the matter at your disposal. I'm seeing that still. You can be in a position that you know is better than where you were before, or you feel like there's more of a foundation. But you can also still have a hard time like seeing yourself in that place, or like still worrying about things. But I'm seeing you be so very capable here. Like there's so much that you've gone through. There's so much that you've experienced. There's so much that you've gained through these experiences that you've moved through, that you're stepping into a very rightful position. But I think at times you don't recognize that it's rightful, that you're in this position. But it's only based off of wounding that's still being addressed. And I think more than anything, this actually has to do with self-perception. So if you didn't have this, like, I imagine that this would be a situation where you were in where you could have felt like powerless, or that you didn't have control, or that you lacked autonomy, or that there was some type of like authoritative or controlling like entity that you were trying to like get out from underneath in some way. So this can be something with like a spouse, or something with like a parent or a guardian of some sort. It can be just really anything. Feels like it's associated more with like a more like dominant, like masculine type of energy, which can be kind of like, it can be, you could have been in a situation where like somebody else had the final say and like it wasn't you, and that you just had to comply in some way, like something connected with that. So now because you're stepping into like your version of being the one that gets to determine things and have the say, and you're making the final call and those sorts of things, because it wasn't like modeled properly for you, because it was modeled in the opposite way for you, you're basically learning through an opposing experience. And those are situations when we learn. When we're learning how to do something and we're having it modeled for us, it's either somebody that does it properly, where they are a type of role model where we model our behavior after that, or there's somebody that does it in a way that we feel is the opposite of how it should be done, and we can also still learn from that type of experience about what not to do. And so by seeing what they do and then doing the opposite, it teaches us how to step into that role in a way that we want to. So I'm seeing the situation where you were in a situation with somebody that, rather than modeling this in like a proper way, they did like the opposite of that for you. And so you're still learning how to step into that on your own, but it can feel a little like you have to put the pieces together through opposition. So at times, because it was sort of like ingrained that like somebody else is supposed to be the one telling you what to do or making the rules or whatever, when it's time for you to be doing that, you still find yourself like looking around at times like somebody else is supposed to be doing it, but it's really you. So this feeling of like, I don't know if I can do this, or like, I don't know if I can trust myself, or I'm looking for other people to be the authority here, it's based off of this situation, and this is what you're currently working through. Because you're learning how to use your judgment and your discernment, and that you are most capable of doing that for yourself, not anybody else. Not when it comes to you and yourself. Because this isn't even about you being in a position where you're now telling other people what to do. This is about you telling yourself what to do and developing that part of yourself. So you're growing up into that. Yeah, this feels very like stepping into your 10th house. And it can also be like wherever your north node is too, or Rahu for those of you that's the terminology that you use. So this is about like what you're stepping into and what you're developing. Again, some of you, the way that you experienced this was by having somebody that was like, rather than being like a right side up emperor, which is what you're stepping into, they were like the opposite of that. So it can be somebody that, rather than leading the way for you and empowering, they may have been controlling what you were doing and telling you that you needed to check in with them because you were going to make a mistake if you didn't. Like all the time, in a way that it really reinforced that you can't trust yourself, that you can't trust your judgment, you can't trust your discernment, you don't know what you're doing, you need to trust other people as an authority. And it makes you question all of these things where you feel like you constantly need to check in with other people and don't check in with yourself. And then also ignore your feelings too about stuff. So this is what I'm seeing is being worked on. This is what's being rectified right now. You may also find this to be relevant where you have Aries in your chart and also where you have Aquarius in your chart too. And also connected with your Pluto, because we have Judgment here too. MC and North Node. So all these things may be intertwined, interweaving. This, sometimes you may look at what you've been through and feel like it's a hopeless situation because in a way it can feel like this left an indelible mark on you, but really this is, you may at times be misinterpreting what that means, like what you going through this means. It doesn't mean you're marked in a way where you can't step up into this. It's about learning how this situation played out and how you're supposed to use that and apply that to stepping into what you want to step into. Like, how do you make this situation benefit you? Because every situation can benefit you if you are seeing it that way. But it has to do with your perspective and your mindset. Because I am seeing you definitely are moving on from things. So you may feel like you're much better off now than you were like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever this was. Even at the beginning of this happening, you can look at your progress and be like, wow, I've come so far, and you have. Like, to have the Emperor here, it shows you're at this point where you're at like the top level, you're just developing that now. So you're very, very, very far along with this, even though at times you may look around and be like, I don't think that I am, but it's because of your specific stuff that you've gone through that's something that you question within yourself. So you're just learning how to work with it. So that I'm seeing as being like the main theme right here that's being worked with. You may find support to be very helpful. This means like having a type of support system, whether this be with like people, friends, family, cosmic family. It can be your guides, it can be your ancestors, it can be nature, it can be animals, wherever it is that you find support, especially at times when you're like struggling, where you're like not believing in yourself. It's anything that feels like motivational and encouraging to you. Those things will really be helpful. Things that help you feel connected. And like healing is really possible, and that you are. And that you're no exception to that. All right, my friends, we're going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.